Folks, welcome to the inaugural episode of Things of That Nature. I'm Denny Carter, here with Patrick Doherty. You may know us from such things as talking about football on the internet. We're here today to start a new show where we talk about other things that are on our minds that we don't talk about on our various podcasts, including culture, modern America, and all that entails. Maybe music, maybe movies. We don't know. Anything that comes to our elder millennial minds could end up on this show, Things of That Nature. Pat, I'm glad you could join me, and I'm glad we can be correct in all our opinions coming up in this episode and, of course, future episodes.
We can be. And you're trying to act like this is a cultural endeavor, all that. Like we're trying to be like important and smart. Let's just be real, Denny. You may not know this. Like I'm a really cynical businessman. All right. And like I start businesses left and right.
You do.
I'm very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I'm starting I started a business this morning. I had nothing to do with it. I'm grinding coffee beans. I start a business like every day. And so I look at industries and I try to identify opportunities. And, I look at the podcast industry. I'm like, there's not enough podcasts.
Where are they?
Where are all the podcasts? And especially where are all the unfocused cultural podcasts? We're like, there's no narrowing mechanism whatsoever. Like we could just talk about whatever we want. Where are those? Where are those? And I think that's why we're here. That's what I'm setting out to do.
Yeah. It's called exploiting an inefficiency in the market.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we're doing, especially for two white men. Okay.
Yes, I know. Where is the elder millennial white male perspective?
They're nowhere.
Where is it?
Our opinions have been silenced for too long. It's time to get them out there.
My opinions have been silenced for at least the past 42 minutes. At least the past. I have not shared an opinion in the past 42 minutes.
You haven't posted on a microblogging platform in 42 minutes. And honestly, that's unconstitutional.
I didn't post in the past 42 minutes, and I didn't get instant affirmation in the past 42 minutes. So it's like, where will someone listen to me finally?
I haven't been told that I'm right about everything in over 2 hours. And that, that's pretty messed up.
That is pretty messed up. What's pretty messed up is when people actually tell us we're not right and you read the comments. You shouldn't do that. By the way.
I love to get in those comments.
Why do you love the comments so much?
You know why? I like to learn. I like to learn about myself and what a feckless cuck I am. And that's pretty
Denny,
much.
We're already gonna get too far afield here, so we haven't even said what the topic is yet. We may or may not be talking about the guy who wants to live forever.
That's right.
Have you ever actually been offended, had your feelings hurt by an internet comment?
I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I said no. I mean, 99% do not hurt my feelings. I just, you develop a shell, over the decade or whatever it's been. But there are some, and I'll tell you what it is. It's like when they really go after like your knowledge of something, you're like, oh damn, that hurts the old ego. That stings.
Yeah. It's not like a personal insult that gets me.
No,
it is like the knowledge. One thing that really 2018 World Cup. Kylian Mbappe is one of the very best soccer players in the world. This is like a very minor tweet in my life, but this shows you the way random things can stick with you. I compared him, I think, to James Rodriguez, who was a breakout star of the 2014 World Cup, where like he was having like humongous international success, but he wasn't like super well known,
right?
More like casual players. I was like, Mbappe is kind of like the James of this World Cup, and I got like an instant avalanche of like so many lols. Like, you didn't already know Mbappe was a superstar?
No.
First off, I did.
Let me be clear.
Let me be clear. I did. I thought a lot of other people didn't. All right. I play FIFA. I knew who he was.
That's right.
And yeah, that sticks to me. The personal insults ones, those bounce off more easily. So I don't know you. I don't care. Like, you're just trying to hurt my feelings. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. Like,
if you're saying I don't know something, then I immediately get very, very upset.
Right. Like, you can see my nose hair. Sorry. Like, yeah. I mean, I wish you hadn't. I wish that I had done something about that. But
what is the deal with the nose hair, by the way? What is the deal? We're elderly. We're aging millennials now. Why does my right nostril, no matter how many times I trim it, is there one nose hair that hangs out? What's the deal with this?
We're going, honestly, we're going to need a Things of That Nature episode on body hair, because I have hair on my ears, my ears.
I do too.
and I've had to shave them with my electric razor. It's crazy, man.
The nose hair thing is the literal one thing I have in common with my Great Depression era grandparents.
That's right.
Like, why is grandpa's nose hairs? And he's like, I don't know, son. Like,
yeah,
I don't care. Like, everything else in America and the world has changed since then, except for the nose hairs.
Right. If you were to drink 1/1000th the whiskey that he drank, you would be dead.
my grandfather, who was born in 1921, I truly did not know someone could drink that many Miller High Lifes without ever once displaying one sign of not just drunkenness but buzzedness.
Right.
Never once buzzed in his entire. Like, Grandpa, is that your 11th Miller? And you seem totally fine and normal. Listen, not to take too, Grandpa, you just dropped me off at school.
Yeah.
that actually did never happen. But
no, I mean, truly, like, I would be throwing up like the girl from The Exorcist after 11 Miller High Lifes, and they just went about and my grandfather too. It's amazing.
Denny, speaking of The Exorcist, Bryan Johnson.
Yes, he needs an exorcist. Bryan Johnson is, you may know if you, like us, are extremely online, tragically so. Bryan Johnson is the weird billionaire who is trying to live forever. And when we say live forever, we don't mean, because if you're a normal, well-adjusted person listening to this episode, you may think, oh, like trying to live a long life, like trying to live to 100. That's what he's trying to. That's not what he's trying to do. Let me be clear about that.
Let me be clear.
This man wants to never die. Okay. Now, he doesn't know that he's not the first person to have this wish. We're going to get into that later. He is ignorant to the human drive to never die, but we'll get into that. But yeah, today we're going to talk about Bryan Johnson, the never die movement, which is a real thing, folks. This is not like something we are latching onto. Like, it is out there. People are trying to eat and sleep and conduct their lives in a way that will ensure that they live forever, which is just a joke. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the optimized lifestyle, which obviously ties into that, and why this is all nonsense and we hate it so much we can barely function. So we want to start with, just to give folks a clip, an idea of what we're talking about. We want to show a clip of Bryan Johnson about 6 months ago talking about what he's doing with this never die thing. He used to be a regular guy. Have you seen pictures of him when he was regular?
Yeah, he looked way better when he was a regular guy than before he started getting like the blood transfusions and all that. Where now he looks like half like Dracula's a bit strong, but like he looks a bit vampiric. And like also like half 2001 A Space Odyssey, baby. Like, I'm not really sure. Like, wow. He's got he's got the skin consistency of the 2001 A Space Odyssey, baby.
Man, that's actually right on. And vampiric is actually a great word, a great way to describe this guy. He looks like shit. Let's just be honest. And he looked like a super normal guy.
He looked good.
Yeah, right.
Normal.
He was a pretty handsome guy.
He had like jeans. He had jeans.
Yeah. Pretty handsome guy. Now he's a total freak. And 8-pack abs and, chiseled muscles like he's DK Metcalf or something. He's done stuff with his hair. I can't really figure that out. I think there's some hair replacement going on.
The hair thing is maybe the weirdest part where I truly can't tell what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like turning red, which I think sometimes happens like if you're like malnourished. Like your hair starts changing to a weird color.
His skin and hair are weird colors now. I think that he has done blood transfusions with his son, who's like 19, to try to get young blood into him. So it is very much a vampire.
Which, by the way, is literally like an ongoing story arc on the parodic Silicon Valley show known as Silicon Valley, where they literally get the blood of young people.
I didn't know that.
And, he's doing this for real.
Yeah, again, a parody. But let's listen to Bryan Johnson in his own words talk about what he's trying to do here with his.
Here, real quick, Denny. Look, 30 notifications. Bet you think you're a big deal.
Yeah, I love my 30 plus notifications, folks. All right, ready?
Death thing. Like, this is not a money grab. Okay, there's like 5 levels of ambition. 1 is start a company. 2 is start a country. 3 is start a religion. 4, don't die. 5, become God. And so the company is just not, it's not in my scope of ambition anymore. I'm going to build a country. And so I'm going to build a don't die nation state. Because if we're serious about not dying, like we're really serious, we need practical things. We need to test ourselves. We need medical services. We need therapies. And no government in the world cares for its citizens in that capacity. And so if we're serious, we have to build out real world infrastructure to help people not die.
All right. So let's get to the main part here, which is becoming God.
Like, do you know, are you familiar with the Toy Story meme? Like, he's literally the Toy Story meme, like becoming God. It's not funny if you've never seen this in your life.
No, I'm sorry. I haven't.
So listen, he had me, when he said start a company, I was like, yeah, all right, someone who just started a company this morning, I can identify with that.
Right.
And then 20 seconds later, when he was on Becoming God, you kind of lost me.
That's right. I was like, I'm sorry, you become God? Okay. All right. Look, to each his own, I guess. Not really, but in the general sense, you can do what you want. But it just seems like there are other things to do with your life than try to become God and start your own country with. I guess what he's describing is Switzerland, right? With good.
And plus, we're all trying to find, by the way, the body politic that prevents a government from doing these things. Like, we're all trying to find the American voters that prevent a government from caring for its people in that way.
That's right. Right.
There's a lot of people who have already had this idea that wouldn't require starting a new country or then becoming God.
I feel like if Bryan Johnson would simply move to Scandinavia, he would be like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, all right, I can go to the doctor now.
This whole thing has happened because he hasn't been able to get a doctor. He lives in LA and he hasn't been able to get a GP appointment in 12 years.
Right.
So he's just decided he has to live forever and become God instead.
Yes. This reminds me, we're going to go on tangents on the show, obviously. I had the misfortune of watching the Joe Rogan episode with Aaron Rodgers the other day, and both of them agreed that they would never undergo surgery if Medicare for all was passed in the United States. Because
like they wouldn't be able to, or as a protest?
No. Because you would have socialized doctors, whatever that means, and they would not try their hardest under a socialized system. So this rich guy idea of healthcare is pretty convoluted.
It is. Yeah, the rich guy idea of healthcare is there's someone who goes to 9 years of medical school and then only cares for me.
Oh my God, that's actually right.
And then they move in with me.
That's what they were saying. That's what Rodgers and Rogan were saying. They were like, I want someone who's dedicated to me.
It's like, if I can't have my own personal doctor 24 hours a day, then sorry, bro, I'm not getting the cyst removed. It's a really easy in and out cosmetic procedure. I don't even know if they have to numb it anymore.
Anyone can do it.
Literally, I think they let the nurse practitioner do it now.
Right.
You can easily go have that. Sorry, bro, not doing it. Like, you can't even open your eye. But maybe you should just get the cyst removed, man. Just can't do it, dude.
No, I got to fly to Mexico to get it done.
Yes.
Oh man. So anyway, this is Bryan Johnson's idea for living. This is what he's going to dedicate the rest of his life to. He's in his 40s, so he is either like a young Gen X or an elder millennial. I'm not sure which. I feel like this is the ultimate manifestation of like a mindset that is pervasive online, and I think it has to do. We've talked about this before, Pat, where people are just bored, and you're just desperate for a challenge in modern life because everything is kind of easy. You don't have to actually try to go get food. Everything's delivered to you. And I am speaking from
getting cysts removed is an outpatient procedure.
Right.
Now.
That's right. This episode is actually about cyst removal. It's important to get done. But I'm speaking from the perspective of a middle-class white guy. So take that for what it is. But modern life.
Someone's finally doing it, by the
way. We're finally being heard.
No, we're being heard.
But life can be boring. Let's be real. Let's be real about it. Life can be pretty boring. And guys like this have said, okay, I'm gonna I'm going to make life less boring by, I don't know, trying to become Almighty God. It's an incredible thing.
It's not just the boringness. It is kind of like the meaninglessness too, or I feel like to live forever and like the idea of like we're gonna create a super intelligence, bro. Like you don't understand. Like we are creating, like we're making something smarter than us.
Yeah.
Like all comes back to like the same. Like it's like this inability. They cannot. So like we've solved so many of life's greatest mysteries. We still haven't solved like the mystery of consciousness, I'll say. But like so much is solved, and like it's almost like there's like this sadness about solving so much,
right?
And like they can't accept that. Sorry, man. Like the human brain is all there is. Like the human brain, and I'm not actually even like saying like I'm an atheist or anything. I genuinely don't know. I've always rejected that label, but like this inability to confront the idea, like both from like living forever or like trying to create something smarter than the human brain. Like they cannot confront the idea that like sorry man, like it really is just the human brain.
This is
like
all there is, buddy.
That's all there is. And like increasingly desperate and fancy way we had much simpler and more elegant solutions in the past, known as like religion, community, and
community.
We got kind of bored at those things.
Yeah.
And I think it all like these are like everyone has their own different responses to these problems, but these like the single most tortured responses like well, now I have to create something that's smarter than all humanity and could kill it with the software update.
Yeah.
Like now I have to live forever and become God. Like an inability just to confront like the majesty of the human brain. Like this, like they're disappointed with how good. Like, dude, the human brain. Like, why are you disappointed with the human brain? Like,
it's pretty good,
friggin' amazing. and they're very disappointed.
Yeah. And they act so. This the optimized mindset obviously funnels its way toward this obsession with artificial intelligence, right? And so all of the tech bros, all of the Elons, the Bryan Johnsons, the Zuckerbergs, the Bezos, all of these guys are in on developing AI as the next evolution of consciousness on Earth. And they're acting like you said, Pat, they're acting like they have no choice. Like
they really are. Yeah, I know. They're acting like it's immoral not to do it.
No, they actually say that. I'm not kidding. They say that it is sinful and wrong to not develop. If you can develop a technology,
which they totally can. We swear to God, any minute we can do it.
Yeah, the LLMs will gain consciousness at any time.
We just need 15 nuclear reactors in Washington State, and then we can do it, bro. Like,
right? We need to pollute the entire state of Tennessee.
We need more energy than all of the Earth currently uses to make like one computer, and then we can do it.
Yep. And so they say, well, we have no choice but to replace humanity with a hyper intelligence. And the answer to that is no. You don't have to do that. It's actually a choice that you're making. And do I believe it can happen? I don't think so. But I do think that it is a choice. And if we don't want to go in that direction, we don't have to. You don't have to destroy ourselves, right? It feels like a suicide pact among a bunch of influential, very rich, very powerful men who are bored. They're just bored with being billionaires. It actually reminds me, my kid, my 12-year-old son actually said this the other day. He said Elon Musk, and I swear to God he said this.
So it's gonna be a totally real quote from your 12-year-old kid.
I'm paraphrasing. Elon Musk reminds me of one of the rich guys from the Hellraiser series who is just so bored with their lives and has experienced everything there is, everything money can buy, okay? Drug-wise, sex-wise, food-wise, everything, right? Every possible luxury you could possibly imagine, Elon has experienced it. So what does he do? He says, okay, now we have no choice but to build robots that will destroy us. And I think my kid had a point. These guys are opening that little terrible box from the Hellraiser movies. And by the way, there are like 12 of them somehow. But and out of the box comes our current moment. And I hate it. I hate it so much. And I wish these guys could just not be bored. Okay. I wish these guys could just, I don't know, be content. Be content. Read a book on the porch. Be content.
Well, they're ruining all the things that used to make them not bored too. Like even video games are slowly being ruined by AI. Where like instead of like humans, taking like 8 years to make like the next great video, like dude, it's gonna be AI now, bro.
Yeah.
Like the levels are gonna make themselves. Like I know they all suck, but like AI is making it now, and it's really
amazing.
Yeah, but isn't it so cool? Like I don't know, I kind of like the old games better that we actually thought about and worked hard on. Like no, sorry, dude, can't do that anymore. But Bryan Johnson, like, has even articulated why he. This is where I can't understand both with the AI and the live forever. Has he articulated why he even wants to live forever? Because it's like not to ever have good food. It's not, to have like a large family or whatever. It's not to like drink beer ever. Like, what are like the reasons he even actually wants to live forever? And with like AI too, they can never articulate the problem that's being solved. Like, so you're degrading all, like, and obviously as like a content creator, I'm only going to focus on it from like a writing perspective. But like, so you're degrading the quality of all writing and destroying the ability of young generations to learn how to write. Like one of the oldest, most practical, frankly, easiest to attain skills if you work at it all. You're like making this impossible for what reason again? Like, can you repeat that exactly? Like, what are we gaining? Like, can you articulate what is even being gained?
You're losing. So you're offloading your brain onto a machine for everything, including, writing papers. There was that article that was being passed around social media a few weeks ago saying that like every college student cheats now. No college students are doing any work anymore, which obviously they aren't. Clearly, like why would you at this point? And so you're offloading something like writing, like the most ancient form of expression,
literally, quite literally the most ancient form of human
offloaded to a machine, and you say, you write for me, machine. But you drill down a little more, and I can say I'm guilty of this too in some regards, including like asking the machine how to get around town, right? So places I've been to 100 times, I will instinctively, reflexively pull up my phone and pull up Google Maps and say, Google Maps, tell me how to get here.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Now I do that. I know we're a little different on this front. I do that mostly because I want to know if there's like a big traffic jam, right? And I want to try to avoid that.
I've gotten burned on that several times recently.
Yeah,
my wife has wanted me to bring it up. I'm like, well, I know how to get there, and then there was a traffic.
But I start forgetting. This is the thing with offloading your brain. You start forgetting stuff, right? So like I've driven to the flag football field like seriously like 60, 70 times over the past 2 years, right? Where my son plays. Last week I made a wrong turn because I didn't have my map up and I wasn't thinking, right? And I just forgot. Like I was like, do I go here or here? I think it's left. No, it was right. And that scared the shit out of me, honestly.
Well, Denny, do you need to go to the doctor? I think your memory might be failing.
Maybe I had very little alcohol.
I think your memory might be failing, Denny. If you can't, no, I know
it's bad.
I just don't. What are we? It's like it seems like the unspoken goal of all this is to gain more free time. Sometimes it's not unspoken. Sometimes they just say that as the goal, and then it's like to do what?
That's fine.
It's like, you don't drink, you don't eat, you don't want writing to be an art anymore. Like your video games are seriously just going to get worse. Like even if you like thought like video games were the greatest free time, like what are we gaining the free time for? And which comes back, it almost makes it sound like I'm saying we should just keep life really hard. Like we can't make life so it's so easy that there's no friction like whatsoever, right? Like, am I just a Luddite, or there needs to be some friction in life?
Do you know how? Right, the reason shit is boring is because the friction has been taken away, and that's been intentional. And in many ways, that has made life better. We're not denying that. Like we don't want to go back to like the Stone Age, but I think a totally frictionless life is a boring, meaningless life. I saw on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, the other day, somebody said that they had offloaded the planning of their child's birthday party to Grok, the AI machine owned by Elon Musk, right? Which, by the way, continually just owns Elon. It just embarrassing.
Grok is so absurdly woke. Even I'm like, dude, Grok, like,
right,
like, it's all right. You don't have to be that woke.
Right. I mean, that Grok is woke is not a question anymore. Like Grok is super woke. But anyway, so this guy says I offloaded. I said plan my daughter's birthday, and he gave the machine some details. And I'm like, okay, this goes back to that Apple commercial that you and I talked about during the holidays, where the main selling point of the new iPhone was that it was preloaded with an AI system that would allow you to offload your love for family members and allow the machine to take over. This is fucked. Like this is not okay. It's just not okay, and we should not be engaging in it. I don't think
we can't. And so, like, I always go back and forth though. Like, am I just scared of the future? Am I just a Luddite? Oh, I very much am. Like, am I just a Luddite? Like, am I just, like, at the end of the day, ultimately resisting progress? Where I really don't think that's it. We're, evolutionarily, we are organized around community, obviously. So routine, is one thing that becomes very, very crushing for people. Like, that's when your life can really start to feel stuck. Like, I'm doing the same thing every single day, blah, blah. You need things to get you out of your routine. AKA you need to leave the house. Like, when you leave the house, like, things happen. Even for, like, again, I could be describing drudgery, but, like, even when you, like, leave to go to the store, like, things happen.
You never know.
When you leave, like, go see your family, like, things you need happenstance in life.
Yes.
And, like, we're honestly, probably unintentionally, we're creating all these methods to remove, like, all happenstance and, like, randomness and kind of variety from life. And, like, I think, like, then it's things that are ostensibly supposed to be making our lives better are just making them more routine, and they're making us more depressed.
Oh,
like, we need the human brain. Speaking of boredom, like, the boredom is a very real thing. That's why you need variety and happenstance. You need, like, unexpected things to happen. You need them to not be bad. Like, I always just go, like, before, like, the texting era, like, my parents' friends, like, my grandparents' friends just, like, show up at their house.
Oh,
and it'd be, like, kind of annoying sometimes, but then you're always annoyed for, like, 5 minutes. And then after, like, 30 minutes, you're like, oh, I'm actually really glad.
That's unthinkable now.
It is truly unthinkable. And, like, things that are, like, good progress in and of themselves, we're just achieving, like, a smoothing of life that is making everything too routine and even more boring. Like, there has to be variety, there has to be happenstance, and it's disappearing.
Wait, this is what you wanted. Like, you wanted a totally frictionless, smooth life, and now you got it. And guess what? It sucks.
I know it sucks. And after 5 minutes, like, well, I got to figure out how to live forever.
Yeah. 5 minutes into it, and you're like, well, I got to give my life some meaning, so I will simply become God.
Yes, I will quite literally become God, because everything got too easy. And
we're
not like things. It's not like things should be hard. What is the middle ground? What is the middle ground? Like, progress is good. Making things easier is good. Very, very bad, though, to orient and organize society around being alone, basically. Even when you have families, it's all oriented around being alone now. Like, well, I'm not leaving the house again.
Yeah, I mean, working from home is something I always wanted to do, and I would give anything to work with my coworkers in an office every day now. And so that sucks. I will say there's a line in an Arctic Monkeys song from their most recent album called "The Car," which I very much appreciate.
Arctic Monkeys, the best band ever, where it's so embarrassing to say their name out loud.
I know, I hate their name. But I very much recommend that to elder millennials who like good music.
And you don't need to recommend Arctic Monkeys to elder millennials; they all already know.
It's somewhat new to me. So I will say, but it says something about being scared by a knock on the door, and then saying, "Didn't that used to be part of the fun?" And that's exactly what you're referencing here.
It's very depressing, because even someone who said I want that, I do. Like, why are they knocking? They could stop. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I'm so scared.
I mean, it's like in my house, it's like a 5-alarm fire when someone just pulls up in the driveway. and you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Who is that? I think it's one of the kids' friends' moms. What is she doing here? Did she text you? Did she text me? Did I miss a call? Did you get an email? Is there a party? What's going on? It didn't used to be that way. It used to be like, hey, there's someone. There's someone, and I'm so glad to see someone because I'm bored here. I want to go talk, right? And so this I think it was COVID that sort of accelerated this loneliness.
It was long before COVID, but then COVID
supercharged it.
It supercharged every single bad trend in America.
Yes,
like COVID. There used to be the school of thought. Once there's a big crisis, we'll finally come back together.
Nope.
We got the big crisis.
Completely shattered society in a way.
Even worse.
COVID will. The ramifications of COVID are with us in our face every day, politically today, and they will be for maybe the rest of our lives. Yep. Like this stuff is never going away. Like that was a traumatic, like world-changing event, and I think folks know that, but it is easy to forget it. It is easy to try to put that in the back of your mind. But a part of that is becoming isolated. And people just losing contact with each other. I can speak for myself. I used to get together with friends. I don't know, 80% more than I do now before COVID. And COVID was like the end for me, the end of getting together with friends. And I don't love that.
No. And you had a thread I was going to pick up there about, I don't remember what it was.
Though. Well, while you think about it, can I go through Bryan Johnson's diet? Because
please do.
Because that's so Pat referenced a few minutes ago this idea of living forever. Like, okay, so you want to live forever so that you can eat good food and you can drink with your friends and you can have a good time.
Because when they wanted to live forever in like the Middle Ages, like dude, wouldn't it be sick if we could have wine 24 hours?
It was just to drink wine. Yeah. The only reason anybody wanted to live forever 500 years ago was just to drink wine. That's it. All right, so here's Bryan Johnson's diet, and I almost hate to read this because it's so horrific. But let's start with meal number 1. He does not call them breakfast, lunch, or dinner, by the way. Meal number 1. Johnson refers to his first meal of the day as super veggie, which consists of cauliflower, broccoli, black lentils, ginger, and garlic. Okay,
dude, I just woke up. I'm sorry. I actually like cauliflower. If you think I'm putting this in my mouth 5 minutes after waking up.
Can you imagine presenting Bryan Johnson with a cup of coffee in the morning? He would be more likely to drink just straight poison.
His body would actually his body couldn't even handle coffee at this point. It would just disintegrate into
all right. Meal 2. His second meal, called Nutty Pudding, is made with macadamia nuts, walnuts, flax seeds, pomegranate juice, and berries combined with pea and hemp protein.
Is hemp in the diet, huh?
Horrific.
So he's eating rope.
Drinking it.
Drinking it.
Meal 3. His third meal varies, but generally includes a mix of vegetables, berries, nuts, and seeds. Additionally, he consumes a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil with each meal and 6 grams of pure cocoa.
What?
He says, quote, "We've tried to construct a perfect diet, so every single calorie I consume has a specific objective. We basically just tried to stack superfoods across the board." Okay, I've heard of the olive oil thing. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah. Well, the olive oil thing has become a staple of like under article slop. Where it's like the weird AI illustration of a guy's belly like hanging over his desk and like
one weird trick.
Yeah, it's become a huge staple of the one weird trick economy.
Okay, so recently I saw a clip of Shaquille O'Neal running away from the TNT desk toward the bathroom because he was on an olive oil diet where he drank olive oil instead of ate food. And
I didn't know. I was actually watching Inside the NBA that night and never actually got the explanation.
Yeah.
I thought he claimed it's because he had to pee. I was like, man, I know you could hold it.
No, it wasn't. It was not that. It was the olive oil had landed and
a second bottle of olive oil has hit. Let's be real,
has hit Shaq's stomach.
Yeah.
And speaking of Shaq, man, the guy was on Ozempic for like 15 minutes and was unrecognizable. You remember that?
Not really.
No. Oh my God, he got so skinny I didn't recognize him.
Well, Shaq's never unrecognizable since he's in every single commercial. You see him kind of every day, like a family member. So you don't even notice that he's losing weight, like that kind of thing.
That's true. That's true. But there was a time like early on in the Ozempic era where every celebrity was on Ozempic. I mean, this was like for like 6 months or something.
Denny, by the way, I wish our viewers could stop messaging Pat, Denny, and I and be like, dude, like Pat and Denny, man, they've been hitting the Ozempic hard. Like they look so good. Dude, what do we have to do to get Pat and Denny off the Ozempic?
Hey, listen, there have been text exchanges between me and Pat where we're complaining that working out does nothing at a certain age. It's just like literally, like no matter how much you work out, nothing happens.
No, working out, it does something. All it does is maintain the status quo baseline.
Yeah.
It only does that if you do it like 5 times a week.
Right. And
never actually helps anything. It's good at the status quo, but at our age, like you're sitting down. Like I'm sitting down, like say, imagine working out as a contractor and telling working out what I need. Like, well, I'd like to lose 70. No, I can't do that. Like he immediately crosses that line off the sheet. Like, so I can't bid that out. What makes you think that's going to happen? Like, oh, wow. I kind of thought that was the whole point. No, dude.
No, you literally can't lose weight anymore. No. So we've talked about, maybe we should just simply do the Ozempic thing. We have not. But anyway, I got a little far off field here. I have a little bit more to read about Bryan Johnson's diet here. Johnson argues that, quote, some things just cannot be acquired through diet. So he consumes a large quantity of supplements. You wouldn't believe this, right? Wow. Quote, no diet, no vegan diet, no carnivore diet can satisfy the body's entire needs. So you have to supplement if you want it to be ideal. He continues, then if you want to be on the frontier of really slowing down your aging and robustly addressing the body's needs, I feel like I'm having a stroke.
So this is the guy I'm like falling asleep. Like,
I'm sorry. You need to supplement. Some things just cannot be acquired through diet. This is scientific fact. He takes all sorts of stuff. I'm looking through it. Plant-based diet stuff, more B12 than you've ever seen in your life.
Eats 5 entire sunflowers.
Why? Like what? Okay, what is the point of living if this is your life?
Well, also the point. This comes back to the boredom and everything, and like a solved life, or not to go like full like scold, like lecturing grandpa or like know-it-all grandpa. Like with the diet stuff, we figured this out. Like the oldest cliche in the book, you may have heard it called everything in moderation.
It's like true though.
It's been solved for hundreds of years, the diet thing. And like they just can't accept that we solved this problem 600 years ago. And like that it's everything in moderation.
No, but it's true. So just to give this some backing to what you're saying, my sister-in-law is a dietitian, a licensed dietitian who actually wrote a book recently.
Someone who wrote a book. Great.
It's good. Folks should check it out. It's for kids. It's called Around the Garden We Grow. And
very good.
She not preaches because that sounds like it's a religious thing. It's not. She advocates for what you're saying, everything in moderation, right? It's called intuitive eating. This is the kind of scientific term, intuitive eating. So that means that instead of drinking a bottle of olive oil and shitting your brains out, you can go ahead and have an Oreo, but not 15 Oreos,
no,
but maybe 1, maybe 2. And guess what? You'll be fine. You'll be fine diet-wise.
It's the same thing. You and I probably said this on our other podcasts many, many times. It's the same thing with water, where I actually do kind of buy into, if you're super hydrated, maybe like your skin is better and maybe you look younger, and maybe to allow that. But I've asked 2 different doctors, granted, neither of these are like coastal, like elite doctors. We're probably keeping up on like the latest literature. But I asked 2 different doctors about the water thing, and 2 separate doctors use like the same laugh line to me, where it's basically like, yeah, drink water when you're thirsty.
Really?
But yeah, they just didn't. Like, what's the appropriate amount of water? Like, when you're thirsty, drink water.
That is,
and which, you know, again, like all of our 90-year-old grandparents, as we never saw take any supplemental water.
Never.
They didn't even drink when they were thirsty.
Never.
A big difference. Like, Grandpa, you have to have water. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead than drink water for utility or pleasure.
Right.
I'd rather be dead.
Okay. I have a distinct memory of, so my aunt and uncle used to have this beach house on the Eastern Shore, right? When I was a kid, and it had a great tennis court, right? And my dad would go play tennis in the unbelievably unbearable Maryland July humidity.
There's nothing like summer coastal heat. There's truly nothing like summer coastal.
Crazy hot, right? He would go play with a buddy or with my aunt or with somebody, and nobody would have a water bottle. No, they would be sweating their asses off, sweating like Patrick Ewing. Okay, like to the point where, you know, Patrick Ewing he used to have to change his jersey every quarter because he sweat so much. So they would be doing the Ewing sweat without any water, and then they would just go jump in the pool, still not get any water. Maybe, Pat, have a beer.
I was just saying, you left out the obvious part. The second they get done playing, obviously they just start drinking.
They just drink a beer.
Start drinking.
Like,
I'm not saying we got to go back to that, by the way.
that sounds really unhealthy, actually.
Yeah, I think that one we have figured out is bad. Like,
but I mean,
Dad, you need to drink. You cannot have another Miller right after that. Well, it has water in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. It's what, do you hate water?
Yeah.
I would bring like 4 Powerades to a tennis court if I were to play in the middle of Maryland summer heat. Like, yes. You know, and that's the difference. But I feel okay. So the optimization culture leaks into everything, right? It just seeps into kind of everything you do, everything you see, especially if you're super online like we are, and it gives me anxiety, pretty constant anxiety, low simmering anxiety about, am I drinking enough water? Do you feel that way at all?
No, I've never cared.
No, you've never cared. I care. I will say.
Well, I'll say this, not to take people too far behind the curtain. My entire life, I've had a weak bladder. I'm a very weak bladdered individual.
All right, we know what we're sharing on things that we share.
I'm a weak bladdered individual, so like the idea of like having like 8 glasses of water a day, like I'd be Shaq. I would just never be not on the toilet. There'd be like, we'd look over, like we'd be taping another podcast, like, hold on, time out. Does Pat have a porta potty?
Is he broadcasting from a porta john?
So that's been one thing standing between me and an optimized water life, is I've decided I don't want to be on the toilet.
Okay, so my anxiety actually manifests in this way. At the end of the day, after the kids are put to bed, I'm making coffee for the next day. I'm getting some lunches together, whatever.
Listen, Denny, who doesn't optimize, like I make my coffee the night before, I make the lunch the night before.
Well, everybody's up early. I got to do that.
My wife makes the lunches the night before.
Well, we switch on and off. And so okay. So during that period at night, this is 10:30 at night, right? I have the thought, have I had enough water today? And the answer, you won't believe this, the answer is always no. And so I go and I fill up a huge cup and I drink it, and then I say, well, that probably still wasn't enough. So I fill up a second large cup and I drink it, and then I'm up 3 times that night peeing, and that sucks. So it manifests in these weird ways. It also, I'll be honest, the whole like anti-bread thing that got to me. You know that I've told you about
Denny has fallen.
Right. The whole thing, that like the Instagram diet culture of like bread is the devil, like humans were not designed to ingest bread, this idea, which is like a real idea that's out there.
Sure, we've been doing it for thousands of years, but we weren't designed or meant to.
You weren't designed to, right? It gives you love handles, and that's unacceptable. And so I bought into that, and for a long time I stopped eating bread. Now, I wasn't radical about it. I wasn't like, I will never take a single bite of bread, but mostly I avoided bread. Now, I have actually gone back to sometimes eating bread, but
I do think the bread too. I eat bread. I do buy into the belief, like the mass produced bread. Like, I'm not sure, not to go Maha here, but like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in this bread. Like, what is any of this stuff? And we try to get fresher bread when possible, but when possible is the important caveat. And sometimes with 4 children, guess what? You're not having fresh bread.
Right.
It's not possible. I don't know where I was going with that.
My favorite thing with the Maha stuff, and which is Make America Healthy Again, and this idea.
I've gone Maha, by the way.
Right. Which is why we're sponsored by. No,
we're sponsored by Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake has given us.
If you're not terminally online, Steak and Shake has gone Maha, even though to see here checking notes, despite literally being Steak and Shake.
Right.
Despite literally being the least healthy food you could ever eat in your entire life, they have gone Maha.
Oh God, how funny is it that RFK was forced to eat McDonald's in front of a camera?
I know.
As a power move. Oh my God.
I'm not saying you got to hand it to the other guy.
I actually will say you got to hand it to Trump, because he was like, oh, you don't like McDonald's? Guess what? You're going to eat McDonald's and I'm going to film you doing it.
Quite something.
Yeah, you got to hand it to him. Anyway, bread. Yes. So when Americans go to Europe and they eat bread and they say, well, this bread must be healthier because I didn't get fat. And I get fat on bread over in the United States. And what they never factor in, of course, okay, is the fact that they are walking everywhere in Europe. And you don't walk anywhere in the United States, because everywhere is designed for big hulking trucks that get 4 miles to the gallon. So that always strikes me. I saw that the other day online.
That's the realest phenomenon. When we went to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, I was imbibing many drinks every day. We were eating very rich meals, and I lost weight because we were walking.
We walked everywhere. Everywhere.
But can I tell you something on water? I'm backsliding even further on water.
Really?
Where I used to be, after drinking, when drinking, time to pound a water. It's water time. Like my friends, like, don't you mean it's beer time? No, and it's water time.
No, brother, it's water time.
Before I have another, and then getting home and like gulping water. Where I've even come full circle on this. Of course, I'm still drinking some water. I am modern. Like, I'm gonna mix in some water throughout the evening, but I've cut out the after I'm done drinking, like pounding water, because I think it actually just makes me feel worse because I'm getting up like 5 times during the night and sleeping less well. Where I realized like the supposed like hydration trade-off was not worth the sleep trade-off. Yeah, I'm not going full dad or grandpa old school. I've never had a water while drinking, but I've decided that even that had reached a point where it was counterproductive for me. And,
so optimization culture makes things not fun.
Yeah, like that's the whole point.
Very intense. Yes, the whole point is you can never have fun. You never have a good time. And
that includes, which we might talk about in a future episode, in sports.
Yeah,
like you no longer have fun in sports.
It's all drudgery. It's all trying to be perfect for a reason that you can't articulate. And I think that that's kind of what drives us crazy. It's why we're talking about it today. I think it'll be a continuing topic throughout things of that nature in future episodes. I will say though that like if a good example, and by the way, folks, I'm not saying, I don't think Pat would say either, that the only way an adult can have fun is to drink with another adult.
No.
There are lots of ways to have a good time, but I think this is a good example of how a formerly good time can be ruined, right? I like social drinking. Okay. I sometimes hesitate to say that online because no one drinks anymore. And
first, I know I've taken umbrage with you on this. Like, it feels like no one drinks anymore, but I think it only feels like that online, I'll say.
Well, no, I mean, surveys show.
Yeah, surveys show. I know, it's true.
Polling shows that people stop drinking after COVID. People freak themselves out.
You have to remember you live in Maryland.
I'm not talking about polling in Maryland. I'm talking about worldwide.
I know. It's down. It is down. And drinking is the classic shouldn't do it too much. And as a society too, I do feel like, yeah, you also shouldn't do it too little.
Right.
There's probably a reason drinking is a pastime that has survived thousands of years, and it just might serve a necessary function as a social lubricant, but it is very tricky.
It is.
There are some people who should not drink.
It is true.
No
Absolutely.
Drink. Yes.
And if you're listening to this show and like, you know someone who has I know me. I'm sure Pat does.
That's the thing about
drinking problem.
But besides those 14 people, I've never known an alcoholic.
Right. I've seen it. I've known it. I understand it. So we're not making light of that at all. I will say I enjoy social drinking, and I feel like in social drinking situations with Pat, actually at like Super Bowls that we go to, we are first and foremost have been consumed with the idea that we need to hydrate. And so it's not necessarily about I'm enjoying this beer, I would like one more, or I would like 4 more, or whatever. It's I need to drink water along with this. So it's like a job. You're giving yourself a job.
Yes. It's making something that used to be an enjoyable pastime like more of a job.
You're making it drudgery, right? The drudgery of drinking. I once told my dad that. I was like, I try to have a glass of water between drinks, and he goes, "Why?" I said, it's to hydrate. It's alcohol is dehydrating. He goes, "If you're gonna drink."
That's the deal with drinking. Very personal decision for everyone. What I would say, like, if you were like a quote successful moderate social drinker, you shouldn't cut drinking out like just because like you read it, like cut it out for a reason. Like if it's bad for your health or it's bad for your behavior, don't cut it out just because like Bryan Johnson said it will add 0.2 months to your life.
Oh my God. I saw
that trade-off is not worth it. Many times for the trade-off is worth it. But there are now like people dropping it for like purely aesthetic reasons. It's just like, all right, like I guess like you want to do that. But
I do.
What we're saying, everyone needs to drink like every day, all day.
It's not what we're saying. That is not the endorsement of this show. I mean, obviously, like when I've mentioned this on Blue Sky, folks have chimed in like it's weed, stupid. Like it's like now weed is legal everywhere. So except for Texas, apparently, no more of that.
It isn't. Yeah, Texas, it is very much not legal.
Well, not now. They anyway. So they said people use pot instead. And I guess that's true to an extent, and that does make sense. I will say that it's not the same, and I don't think that it's a 1-to-1 replacement. Just from what I've heard, and so I don't.
From what I've seen people tell Denny,
if I don't, in my journalistic explorations of this topic, so I don't know if that explains it honestly. But it just seeps like I said, it just seeps into everything where you're like, am I optimizing myself right now? And I don't like to think that. Like I actually hate to consider that, but I end up doing it because the culture is just soaked with this idea that we can be perfect if we try. And it's a burden. Don't you think it just weighs on you? It weighs on me.
It's a burden. It's just so much of it is still just like pseudo. It really is just like new religions. Like people want answers. They're looking into anyone who seems confident. Like, oh, this guy might have the answer. This girl might have the answer. And it's just we're just casting about for solutions and answers in different ways than we used to.
Right.
And probably less satisfying ways.
You talked a minute ago about the trade-off, right? Well, I'll trade off, social drinking for 2 months more of life, if that, 2 weeks more of life.
2 hours.
And there's been research done on this. I hate to sound like Joe Rogan right now, but I mean, there actually has been research on like how much alcohol takes off of your life, right? And so look that up. And also truly, I'm also not making that. There's research that shows that sometimes the trade-off isn't even worth it because like you're I know.
Oh yeah, is that what you're going? You're more
right. And so all right, I hate to talk about him, but Bill Maher, who I do not support.
All right, cut his mic. Yeah.
I'm in charge of stream.
You can cut your own mic, please.
Yeah. Bill Maher, who I do not support, had Bryan Johnson on his show.
It was a classic. You have to hand it to Bill Maher.
Yeah. So far in our inaugural episode, we have handed it to Donald Trump. Now we're going to hand it to Bill Maher because he has this show where he has people on just one-on-one, and he just like drinks and smokes weed until he's like barely able to form a sentence. And so
it's a real thing, by the way.
Yeah. So Bryan Johnson comes, and Bryan Johnson's like sipping on like, water from, like the Rocky Mountains or something.
No, never maybe from the Canadian Rockies, not the American Rockies.
Right. That's been filtered 7,000 times. And he actually starts like almost begging Bill Maher not to drink the tequila that's in his hand. And he's like, "Hey, Bill, can you not drink that? What if you didn't drink that? Have you ever thought about not drinking it?" And Bill Maher just stops in his tracks. He goes, "Hold up. Are you telling me what to do? Like, are you telling me not to drink this?" He's like, "I know. Look, I know alcohol is a carcinogen. I know it's bad for me. I know it fucks me up. And guess what? I'm fine with that trade-off because guess what? I'm an adult. And I'm making an adult decision. And honestly, you got to hand it to him. It is an adult trade-off decision, and I'm good with it. And if he's good with it, he should be able to drink it without being told, "Oh, you shouldn't be drinking that."
I just feel like too, this would all be different if just to even take it away from drinking. With the Bryan Johnson, I just feel like they cannot articulate. So all they can articulate is ever what to take away. I feel like they can't really articulate what you gain, like other than like extra years of your life. Apparently, like what are you gaining when you remove like all the sources of like basically every small joy from your life? Like it's all just about what not to do. Like it's all about what you're giving up and not what you're getting.
Yeah,
every more years of life. Like, yeah, that's great in theory. What about all these moments that now I'm living in these more years? Like, what am I doing?
Right. Right. Sleeping 9 hours a night, going to bed at a baby's bedtime. Right.
Well, like you do that, but
yeah. I go to bed at 11 p.m.
I've gotten some later texts from you, I feel like, in the past
What baby's going to bed? No baby should be going to bed at 11 p.m. I hate to be judgmental, but you got to get your babies to bed earlier than that. And then, waking up like before the sun and all this stuff and working out for hours, like before your day starts.
Working out is just like...
Working out sucks. Exercise sucks. Let's just be real. It's terrible. It hurts. It's boring. It's terrible. Like I'm talking about exercise for the sake of exercise. Now, I like playing softball. I like playing some pickup basketball. I play tennis. I play golf. Right?
Are you seriously not going to list golf?
I list golf, right? I like doing that. I like coming home from the golf course, carrying my bag 18 holes and being like, "Oh, I'm kind of sore," but it's a good kind of sore. You know what I don't like? I don't like getting up, which I do every day. I get up and I take a walk/run around my neighborhood. And I hate that. But guess what? I'm vain as hell and I'm trying to maintain and I'm 41 years old. So judge me all you want, but we're trying to maintain, guys. And so, yeah, so let's cut it out. Let's cut it out. None of this stuff is fun. All of it is drudgery.
Well, and just to articulate what we're truly gaining then. And because it just seems like none of it's oriented around like, we're doing this so you can spend more time like building your community.
Yeah,
or like
you're not though,
or like getting closer to your family.
No,
and it seems like it's just to get more time to post about working out.
Oh my God,
you're coming back to like I mean, listen, you don't even have to drink, but like go to the bar, I guess, and like watch the Oilers game. Denny would never do that, but
I mean, I would
watch the Oilers play. I remember who the Oilers are playing in the Western Conference Finals.
If I had friends watching the Oilers game at the bar, I'd go.
I remember who they're playing.
Do I know who they're playing?
I was trying to. It's the Stars.
I just remember. I was just going to take a stab at it. I was going to be like, it's the Kings.
I was trying to. They played the Kings earlier. I was trying to filibuster as I could remember who the Oilers were.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, what is this all in service of, other than creating a new god? Because you desperately want a god after you killed the old god.
Yeah, right. We're just constantly inventing new ones. So anyway, listen, that's going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up for our first show here of things of that nature. Optimization will be, I think, something that will run through a lot of what we're going to talk about in future episodes. We have some ideas. We are going to, publish this podcast on a semi-regular basis. Please subscribe do like and subscribe. That's what I would say.
Like and subscribe to the page we've created already.
Yeah, that we don't need to do right after this show. And we hope that you like the theme song that we don't have right now, but we will have soon.
I'm gonna send an email to someone soon. I swear,
it's gonna be good.
God.
It's actually great. I know what it sounds like. Don't act like I don't. So we appreciate you listening, folks. And you can find me on Blue Sky at Denny Carter. Pat, you want to tell them where they can find you?
The Blue Sky and still the X Machine, because that's where a lot of people still are, at ROTO Pat. Do not cancel me for still being on Twitter.
ROTO Pat, otherwise known as RotoPat. All right, folks, we will catch you next time.